Business, is full of backstabbing and, of course, jealousies, higher billing, all of that sort of stuff. Worked in it for years, thoroughly understand the project, and you do know what you're signing up for. It's not for, as I've often said here on the show, the thin-skinned. You can be singing a wonderful song each night in a show, and suddenly, of course, someone in the cast can say, "Are you planning to sing it like that every night?" Of course, trying to psychologically make you think that you could do better, or indeed it simply doesn't suit you. You get the picture. But of course, when you're a major star, particularly of the golden era of Hollywood, it's always more baffling because obviously to the public, the outside world, it's often crafted that you are the best of friends. That is, whether it's a wonderful show like The Love Boat, Charlie's Angels, anything like that, it has to be that you all get on. It's like the pop groups, isn't it? You find out years later they couldn't stand one another. Somebody thought they were getting more credibility than the other one, and there's always a front man that gets the front covers and makes the rest of them jealous. I've worked on pop videos, let me tell you, where people have even counted the number of seconds that they've had in the video and reported back to the manager. Oh yes, that much dividend. But when, as I say, you look at the golden age, I've been lucky enough to interview so many wonderful people that told me so many fascinating stories about this wonderful business. Now, one of the biggest stars, it has to be said, of the 1940s was none other than this beautiful lady, Dorothy Lamour. Good morning, Neil Sean here. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. Yes, lovely to have your company. Who remembers Dorothy Lamour? You sat in a sarong already. You're doing a dance. You've got a turban on. You're you're on the ball, aren't you? That, of course, is what she was famous for. Looking beautiful in a sarong. Really made it a fashion statement thanks to all those wonderful road movies at Paramount Pictures. But there was a lot more to Dorothy. Very clever lady, wonderful actress, and beautiful genuinely as a person. Really looked out for people and seemingly got on with most of her co-stars. A rarity in the world of show business. Also, it would appear. You see, there was one co-star that she didn't really bond with in the road movies. Now, Bob Hope, she got on terrifically well with, but she could never really cement the same relationship with Bing Crosby. And this is because, according to that well-placed source, apparently Bing felt that she had more of a comedic rapport with Bob on screen. Now, of course, he got his own back way in the latter part of the end of the series of the road movies, because in 1962 they all came over to the United Kingdom to make Road to Hong Kong. And Dorothy Lamour found out in the British press that she actually wasn't in the movie. She was going to be replaced by the much younger Joan Collins. Now, Dorothy was only 48 at the time, looking in good nick, and could have easily passed off that particular role. But apparently Bing felt they needed a younger element in drafted Dame Joan. What was interesting was that her co-star, Bob Hope, then pitched out and said, without Dorothy, there is no road movie. So producers very quickly relented and decided to give Dorothy Lamour something of an extended cameo in the film. Now, Bing Crosby, who was getting a higher percentage of the profits from this movie, and it did make a profit in 1962, was less than thrilled about being overridden by this, even though it was his close chum, Bob Hope. Now, Dorothy had nothing to do with it. She was thrilled to get the job and, of course, played along like they were the best of chums, as she had done in the previous 6 or so road movies. Of course, though, sadly, in the middle 19th. Of course, so sadly, in 1977, sadly for Bing Crosby, we lost him on a golf course over in Spain. He just completed an extended run at the British world-famous theatre, the London Palladium. Now, naturally, Dorothy Lamour was asked on camera and, of course, for comment and stuff like that, but she was suffering from a throat infection and couldn't give a lot of interviews. Now, according to a source, Bing Crosby's wife was apparently very affronted that she wasn't forthcoming in gushing eulogies, that sort of stuff, as one could imagine. But the bottom line really was she was suffering, and the doctor had told her to remain quiet. So at the very final hour, yes, she was disinvited from the funeral of Bing Crosby. Now, of course, Bob Hope couldn't kick up over this one, because you can't, can you? It's a situation that you can't really say anything about. Sadly, though, for Dorothy, she had to keep quiet too, because a lot of people felt that either she'd offended Bing, the family, or whatever. But which way around, that was the true story, according to an old Hollywood star that I've interviewed many of, as to the reason why Dorothy Lamour was quite frankly missing at the funeral of, some might suspect, one of her biggest pals on screen at least, Bing Crosby. Truth, of course, is never really revealed until after the event. In Hollywood, you have to remain all smiles, and Dorothy did to her own passing, never saying a bad word about her former co-star Bing Crosby. But why was the reason behind her not being invited? I'll leave that one up to you to work out. Was there a bigger plot? Was it the missing voice? Or was it revenge after many years, of course, of being slighted, and finally in 1962, her being forced into a movie that apparently Bing didn't want her to be in? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.